After dinner in Python and a good night's sleep at Oddstock the night before, I spent the next morning at Salisbury Cathedral. In the very late morning, I headed up to Old Sarum, just north of Salisbury, and later to Stonehenge. Not much is left of Old Sarum to see, but from the aerial photos you can certainly see the remnants of the earthen defenses and some of the foundations. Old Sarum is the earliest settlement of the Salisbury area. Mentioned in some of the earliest records of the country, the settlement has archaeological discoveries that date earliest settlement back to 3000 BC. An Iron Age hill fort was built around 400 BC, and it was continuously occupied through the Roman period. After the Romans, it was used by the Saxons as a defense against the Vikings. Finally, after the defeat of the Saxon kings, the Normans, under William the Conqueror, built the site we know of today as Old Sarum. This highly detailed model of the fortified town and Motte and Bailey Castle at its peak gives you a great visual of what once stood in the ruins I walk through now. What I am standing in now is the ruins of the Chapel of St. Margaret, which would have served the servants and local garrison that were in the Motte and Bailey Castle. Directly above this would have been the Chapel of St. Nicholas, which would have served the royal family when they were in residence. This was the former entrance to the castle, up the steep hill from the fortified town. This gate once overlooked the cathedral and the busy area around it, full of industry and commerce. And here is the opposite, from cathedral to gate. What makes this site so unique is that it maintained its importance throughout the millennia, and through the many different Europeans that have called this place their own. Walking the edge of the Motte has a great view of New Sarum and its towering cathedral. It's important to note that the stonework of Old Sarum was not beaten down by the ravages of time. Instead, its residents tore it down and used its stone in order to construct New Sarum, today called Salisbury. A short but very pleasant drive to the north, and I was on my way to the iconic site of Stonehenge. My first view of the site from the road caught me off guard with just how impressive the site was, and just how busy. When you first arrive at the site, there is a very large car park and a very large welcoming center, a nice museum, and a reconstruction of the believed houses that would have been occupied by the people who supposedly built Stonehenge. I don't really have too much to say about the site of Stonehenge except this. There's many displays indicating what we know, or what we think we know, but there is very little here or anywhere else that will convince me that people who engineered such a complex megalithic site lived in such primitive conditions themselves, dragging the once perfectly cut stones across the countryside on top of logs. If anything, this site should give us humility in just how little we know about the world and even about ourselves. Much like the Great Pyramid of Giza, I am not convinced that we know what this site was, or by who or when it was built. So the museum is what it is. It's interesting, and I enjoyed looking around it. But I don't think that it's such a closed case as is on display here. A short ride on the shuttle bus, and here I was, right at the foot of this enigma. Again, on this site, there are the very knowledgeable English heritage people, and they can tell you so many stories of repairs, damages, and change of ownership of the land. You will soon realize it is amazing this site has even survived to this day. They will also help you understand why it's now so protected, and you can't get too close. In my next video, I visit Cornwall and King Arthur's castle. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.